I'm Bill Carey from the New York State Fair, and what's interesting about the fair every year is you never know who you're going to meet here. With all the hoopla about Dancing with the Stars, we have a guy here who insists he's China Phillips' brother-in-law. His name is Alec Baldwin, and he joins us here, kindly joins us here. This is not your first state fair?
No, I was here a few years ago and in and out pretty quickly because, as I recall, it was a beautiful, very hot day, and we got hammered by the heat, the summer Syracuse heat, so I didn't spend the whole day here. But I came up for today to do some signing at my mom's booth for her breast cancer charity, and thanks for having me on your show.
It's interesting because Carol Baldwin is a community treasure for us. She's raised close to $6 million for local cancer research. She has a Run for Life coming up in October, which hopefully will generate more money. And you also have a giveaway that's underway here at the fair at the Center of Progress building, where people are signing up for possibly winning a Harley that's going to be given away at this ride.
Right. Well, the organization, which started on Long Island, where I'm from, and is housed by SUNY Stony Brook. Then my mom and my sister obviously had lived up here for many years and decided to have another chapter up here. And the chapter up here actually out-earns and outperforms the downstate chapter, because down there it's so competitive for philanthropic money and charitable giving. And up here, the net that they cast is so broad. I mean, when they have their events, especially their big dinner every year, they pull people in from Buffalo and Albany and Rochester and all around central New York. I'm very, very proud of my mom, and I'm very, very proud of my sister, my sister Beth, who they've really built this into this great thing up here.
And again, I don't think the community can say enough about the work that they do here. And most of the money, if not 100%, stays right here through Upstate Medical Center.
That was the goal.
Right.
That was the goal. The downstate, they had the arrangement where they would get this, what they call a housekeeping deal with SUNY Stony Brook. They gave them offices and one staff member and so forth on their payroll, and the money that they earned for research grants went to SUNY Stony Brook. Now they have the same thing with Upstate Medical here, where all the money that they raise, and I'm on the advisory board with them, so I'm kind of a stickler about that. And all the money that's raised in this community stays in this community for research.
And we should note that Carol's sons have done yeoman's work helping to raise that money for her charity.
Well, yeah, some of them. I'm not a golfer. It's interesting how I'm too busy working, and my brothers are golfers. It's interesting how my mother and my brothers crafted a bunch of programs that suit their purposes quite well. Motorcycle rides, golf. I don't ride motorcycles. I don't golf. So you get maybe we have a Scrabble tournament. I like to play Scrabble.
You get to visit
Where's my
booths?
Scrabble tournament for cancer?
Let me just touch on a couple of other topics while we have you here. You mentioned before we went on the air, September 8th, you'll be hosting an event in New York discussing 9/11. There's an emphasis on 9/11 here at the fair this year and all across New York State as this 10th anniversary approaches. It's your hometown.
One of my hometowns,
Have we made progress in recovering, do you think, from 9/11? Or is it still...
Well, I live in New York City part of the year, and I live on Long Island, in eastern Long Island, the other part of the year. I commute between the two, and everywhere you go, the shadow of 9/11 is still there. People are... 9/11 changed our lives in ways that we could never imagine, and it's kind of... I wouldn't say ruined the airline industry, but it's affected it so dramatically and made it so problematic. That's all.
CSX is paying us a visit right now.
Yeah.
But you'll be hosting a gathering talking about the long-term effects that we've seen.
This program is hosted by the New York Shakespeare Festival Public Theater. Has a program called the Public Forum, which they have sometimes at the Public Theater and in other venues around the city. And they have these speaker programs that are moderated, and I've done one of them already. I'm doing another one. And this very well-regarded and famous playwright in New York, Richard Nelson, has written a new play about the effects of 9/11. And they're going to do a reading of Richard's play, and then I'm going to moderate a Q&A with Kurt Anderson, the journalist, and Carl Bernstein, and I think and Richard Nelson himself. We're going to talk about the political and cultural aftermath of 9/11.
Now, we spoke 13 years ago. I'm sure you remember it clearly. It's down in your journal at home. 1998, you were traveling the state campaigning for Carl McCall.
Right.
And you stopped at the UAW Hall here in Syracuse. At the time, there was a lot of discussion about you running for U.S. Senate. Mm-hmm. And now we fast forward 13 years, there's been a lot of discussion about a potential run for New York City mayor. Is it hard to make that move from what you do now into the political realm and be taken seriously?
I think it is, number one, because I think that people who, obviously there are people, without naming names and having to churn that up again, there are people who've had their personal scandals and their personal reversals who were from my industry, who went into politics, out in California, obviously, recently. And I think that makes it really, really tough that people perceive people in my business as a little more less deserving, I guess, of a more honest appraisal. But the bottom line is this, is that a year is an eternity in political life, as you know. I've got another year to do the TV show, and when that's over in the spring, then I'm going to assess what I want to do, doing that kind of thing and doing that kind of work. The interesting thing is that for the people who know me, is the kind of work that would be done if I was a member of Congress or I was any kind of elected official, is a lot of the work I do now.
Whoa.
I mean, my staff will leave working for my company, and when they leave, we do an exit interview, and they'll say, working with you is more like working with a congressman than an actor, because all we do is spend time raising money for charities and getting involved in issues. So a lot of what I do now and have been doing for the last 20 years is very, very duplicative of that kind of work. And I just thought to myself, well, but I don't have the juice, I don't have the power, I don't have budgets, I don't have the staff, I don't have the authority of the government. And I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and do it for real, officially? And I've thought about that, but it's something I'm going to wait and see what that political landscape is like when the show is over in the spring.
When do you think is there a drop-dead date for pulling the trigger on something like this? Or?
I think the biggest issue, for example, like every race is very specific, but the biggest issue with the New York City mayoral race is that very specifically, once Weiner was out of the race, and he was the presumptive nominee because he was going to be the hot ticket money raising, wise his wife was the confidant of Hillary Clinton, he had all of that wiring in place. Now that he's gone, it's going to be a bit of a free-for-all primary, and what's going to happen is everybody running for the Democratic primary, you're going to have to raise a huge basket of cash for the primary, and you're going to have to raise a huge basket of cash for the general, which is very time-consuming, and I'm not quite sure I have the time to do both. If the primary wasn't as crowded, like right now there's like 12 people that are going to run for the Democratic nomination, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we wish you luck in making that decision.
Of Syracuse. Well, who's your mayor now?
There'll be Stephanie Miner.
Stephanie Miner. Well, is it a Democrat or Republican?
Democrat.
She's a Democrat. Well, then I'm not going to be mayor of
You can primary her.
I know. I wouldn't have taken it.
Anyway, we do want to remind everyone that coming up again on October 23rd, 2011, the Run for Their Life, sponsored by the Carol Baldwin Cancer Foundation, and also the Ride for Research in Syracuse will all be headquartered at the Dinosaur Barbecue. If you come here at the fair, you can actually see the Harley-Davidson Road King that will be given away to someone at that event. And Alec Baldwin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you to Dinosaur Barbecue for everything you've done for my mother, and thank you personally and to your affiliate for helping me do this today.
Thank you, and that's it from the New York State Fair.